Coming up, the Bicknell Family Center for the Arts brings in a new art exhibit.
A morning without rain across the 4 states. Not sure if we'll know what to do with ourselves other than sit back and possibly enjoy some sunshine. The latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
Also, veterans get a little therapy with the help of horses.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Bronte Sorotsky. We'll get to those stories in just a bit, but first let's throw it over to Michael talking about some nicer weather that we're having now.
After what transpired in the past 36 hours, everything's going to look on the nice side after that. But you're right, Bronte, we can actually sit back and enjoy some sunshine today. Milder temperatures, not going to get too hot. Point out our yearly precipitation total there now nearing 27 inches. That is 8 inches more than we would anticipate going back to the beginning of the year. Skywatch Storm Tracker, we do have heavy cloud cover right now, but eventually that's going to dip off. Any precipitation that we do see, rather spotty, we can put on the sweeping radar. Remember, this time in the morning, she gets a little finicky as well, but that's just going to be the equivalent of a raindrop every now and then. That being said, we still do hold on to flood warnings in the lime green throughout southeast Kansas until 1 o'clock this afternoon. And then similar to what we had yesterday when we were mired in it, pick your river, the Verdigris, the Fall, the Neosho, Little Osage, Marmonton, all of those with flood warnings that'll last into the weekend. Our temperatures right now, 55 up in the north, 63 down in the south. Eventually everybody warming up to around say the mid 70s. That's still a good 7-8 degrees below normal. But here's the nice thing. The Skywatch Storm Tracker keeps future track, all that down to the south. It'll really go through central Oklahoma, central Arkansas. And then we have clear skies and stay on the dry side, not only for our Thursday. Let's throw Friday in there as well. Warming up as we head toward the weekend. Rain's re-emerging there Saturday night into Sunday. And then we're keeping it at 40% all the way through next week as well.
All right, definitely looking forward to at least holding on to that more mild weather through at least Friday.
And it's honestly to the point right now, I think we'd be okay if it was mostly cloudy skies, just nothing falling out of the clouds.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Michael. Parts of southeast Kansas saw some straight line wind damage. This is video from Allen County. The winds knocked down several trees, tore the roof off of some structures, and damaged fences. The Cherokee County Sheriff's Office has finished a county-wide registered offender compliance check. Authorities say there are more than 100 registered sex, drug, and violent offenders in the county. The check is to make sure they're following the conditions of their release. Officials say more than 95% of the offenders were in compliance, and those who were not were taken into custody or are now wanted. The Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation released autopsy results for an inmate who died while in custody at the Ottawa County Jail. Authorities say 38-year-old Michael Victor died in November of last year after around a month in the jail. The sheriff's office says Victor had a medical emergency. Jailers tried to render aid and took him to the hospital where he later died. On Wednesday, the OSBI announced autopsy results showed he died as a result of fentanyl poisoning. An online map and contact information will help Missouri families find free local summer food programs. Children under 18 will receive free meals at hundreds of locations in Missouri. The Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services Summer Food Service Program provides breakfast, lunch, and/or snacks to children living in eligible areas when children do not have access to free or reduced price meals at school. To find the online interactive map of locations and more information on summer food sources in all 4 of our states, just click on the link at komnewsnow.com. A Southwest Missouri-based food bank has reached a milestone in grants to its partners. On Wednesday, Ozarks Food Harvest announced it's awarded $1 million in grants this week alone to more than 70 of its area food bank partners. Officials say this push for grants was spurred by research from the University of Missouri Interdisciplinary Center for Food Security, which showed how much area food banks rely on assistance from Ozark Food Harvest. Pittsburgh State's Bicknell Family Center for the Arts has a new exhibit focusing on one of the most well-known concentration camps of World War II. The exhibit features 14 photos taken at Auschwitz titled Auschwitz KZ-1 and 2. They were taken by a professional photographer who also teaches at Missouri Southern. The exhibit is free and open to the public through June 30th. The mental health of area teens is the focus of a program for area professionals. The Crawford County Mental Health Center hosted a seminar for individuals that work in career fields with teens ages 13 to 18. The seminar put the group through a series of exercises to help them identify teenagers struggling with mental health issues and provide them with help.
I think it's incredibly important because that relationship is what builds that line of communication. The stronger the relationship, that's the person that, that they're going to talk to. I'm going to talk to someone much more readily with someone that I have a friendship or relationship with.
Coming up in the 6 o'clock show, we'll hear from a participant from the class. On Wednesday, a local organization gave veterans a chance to get a little mental health therapy by working with horses. Charlie Tutu Outdoors partnered with Risen Ranch Cowboy Church and Arena for Operation Risen Ranch. As part of the event, veterans learned how to shoe and groom horses.
This has been an event that I just really expect to grow because there's something about a horse and connecting, and the people that are involved here are very plugged in and supporting Charlie Tutu. And
the organization will host more events as part of Operation Risen Ranch, including ones in July, August, September, October, and November. Well, in California, bees are legally considered fish. That's the ruling from a state appellate court. California's Fish and Game Commission and agricultural groups have been fighting about the issue since 2019. That's when the commission added some bumblebees to the state's Endangered Species Act. To do that, they had to list the insect under the fish umbrella, but agricultural groups sued. They argued insects were not directly listed in the statute and therefore could not be protected in 2020. A district court sided with them, but the commission appealed. The state argued other invertebrates are already defined as fish. For example, the Bristol snail, which doesn't live in water, is on the list under fish this time around. The appellate court sided with the commission.
Well, that ain't bureaucracy at its finest.
Just that opening line, that bees are fish in California.
That's one way to cut the red tape, or just run through the red tape, I guess, at the same point. Shouldn't be that much red tape to protect bees, to be honest with you. Skywatch storm tracker, cloud cover, but all this rain that we've been accustomed to seeing down to the south that it has been heading toward us day after day, nope. It is simply going to move off to the east. So we will call that a winter. See if you got any storm tracks on the cone on there. Not going to really too far away right now since there we go. Now we're starting to populate a little bit. You'll notice the direction that they're taking is that easterly push instead of moving northeast toward us. Remember, same point in time, still have the flood warnings throughout southeast Kansas. Temperatures right now in between 55 and 63. Eventually, some clearing skies. We've still got a good dose of cloud cover hanging over us. Eventually, some clearing skies up into the mid-70s for the next 2 days and dry.
Well, that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, the Frontenac softball team hosts a softball camp for local kids. Plus, the Ukrainian soccer team is one game away from being a part of the World Cup. We'll have their emotional win right here. And turns out man's best friend detects COVID better than test can. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Crowder College Rough Riders still alive in the Junior College World Series. This is all taking place in Grand Junction, Colorado. Rough Riders 1-1 so far in the tournament after falling to Wabash Valley last night. Wild one, 13-12 was the final score. So Crowder facing elimination, hitting the field against Central Arizona, and unfortunately it went the other way last night as Central Arizona wins it 11-3. Landry Wilkerson does go 2 for 3 with a solo home run for Crowder as the Rough Riders finish the season with an amazing 54-13 overall record. 4 state baseball players on the college level earning all region honors from the ABCA. That includes Pitt State first baseman Garrett McGowan, a first-team all-region selection. McGowan hit for a team-high .399 batting average this season, 20 doubles and 18 home runs. He also finished the year with 79 runs driven in, also a team high. McGowan, a first-team All-MIAA pick and on the All-MIAA Gold Glove team after finishing the season with, get this, a perfect fielding percentage at first base. He's now nominated for All-American honors from the ABCA, and those will be announced on Friday. Joining him on the All-Region list, teammate Jordan Maxson. Maxson, second-team All-Region selection in the outfield. Missouri Southern putting 2 on the All-Central Region team. Those are catcher Tommy Stevenson and pitcher Logan Van Way. They are both second-team selections. For Van Way, his third All-Region selection of the season after going 7-3 and leading the conference in strikeouts this spring for Missouri Southern. The Frontenac Raiders won the 3A state softball championship last week, and just 5 days later, Raiders right back to work. They were hosting a 2-day softball camp, passing along what they know and what they've learned to other local kids.
Good, Reese. Watch the ball all the way to your hand, okay?
I think that's my favorite part, is just seeing my kids, relay the information and the knowledge that they've gained to these little kids, because the little ones admire them. They look up to them, especially this year, bringing home a state championship.
Try not to flick your wrist through it, keep your arm all the way through it.
How much they look up to us, it's always blows my mind. They always come, half of them were at state, and that's a trip, and just how much they listen, they're willing to learn from you, and how much they trust our abilities.
Good job. Make sure you don't drop your elbow.
I remember being that age and doing these things, and it's really cool getting to return the favor.
And I want you to hit it straight. Yep. And slow down if you have to, right? Slow down and do it right.
I hope they learn something new, at least one thing. I just hope all of them learn to love the game if that's what they want to do. It's almost like your load. If you're a regular hitter, they load back in that back leg. It's the same thing for us. That's our push off to get some power behind it. It's just fun to teach these little kids, and hopefully they have the love for the game like we all do when we go out there and play.
We want to stay in those legs, so we're going to stay in our legs, we're going to stay at that same level, and then we're going to go attack at that same level, okay?
Good job, good job.
It's just cool to see high school kids and these older kids give up their time, for their love of the game, and then just to help these younger kids. Head stay still, we're so much better, okay? Good job. There's a lot of people that look up to these girls, and they admire what they do, how they play the game, and just who they are as people, and I just hope that they realize that and are proud of who they are and where they're from.
All these people support us, and the least we can do is let them learn, and when they're older they can continue what we've already built.
Now look at girls like Heather and Caitlin right there, and have to remember that everything that they're passing on to that younger generation, they have in turn learned from their wonderful coach, Cassie Brooms. Let's not forget that at all. Frontenac softball camp finishing up this morning, runs from 11:30 to 1:30 at the Frontenac softball complex. Little Major League action. Royals fall 4-0 to the Cleveland Guardians. It's the 11th loss in 13 games for KC. They now have the worst record in Major League Baseball. In the National League, Cardinals aiming for the sweep over the Padres. First inning, Manny Machado, line drive to single. Oh, Machado's just putting together a heck of a beginning of the year. Jurickson Profar scores. St. Louis down 1-0, but here come the Cardinals. In the sixth, with tied until Nolan Arenado drills a 2-run home run off Yu Darvish, his 10th of the season. Just like that, Cards have a lead at 3-1. That actually scored Paul Goldschmidt because he stayed hot last night as well. Dakota Hudson goes 7 innings. One of the longest outings of his career, allows just 4 hits and 1 run as the Cardinals sweep the Padres by a final score of 5-2. Still to come on the KOAM Morning News, a controversial removal of the Taiwanese flag from Top Gun is reversed. And a check on our 7-day forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. Just a little past 5:17. Before we jump into our precipitation, I want to talk a little bit about our temperatures here because we'll have a little bit of a warm-up on our hands. May wasn't too bad. Average high of 77 degrees encompassing the entire 5th month of the year. Did hit 90 twice. That's really not too bad. We can go back and think about other years where we've eclipsed 90 more than a handful of times during May. Yeah, we only hit twice at Joplin Regional Airport. 60 degrees right now, and it's been a while since we've been up around our normal temperatures, which now should be around 83, 84 degrees. We'll come up a little bit short on that, but still not going to be oppressively hot, so let's sit back and enjoy that. Right now we're in between 53, looks like Iola, our low spot, and a 10-degree difference down to the south where we've got several at 63, Anderson, Cassville, Miami and Grove, Joplin right behind at 61 degrees, and we're able to do this with the cloud cover. Remember, clouds can help overnight and keep some of that heat in. All the rain staying way down to our south. Central Oklahoma, about to transition into central Arkansas right there. But the key factor is instead of it pushing up toward us, instead of it moving from north to south this morning, it's going to continue from west to east. So we finally get a little bit of a break. But remember, we still do have flood warnings for our counties in lime green throughout southeast Kansas. Those are not expiring until 1 o'clock this afternoon. And that's still because we've got streams and creeks and even roads that are still underwater from yesterday. And then the darker green, you see that some of them run north-south, some of them run east-west. That's a river of your liking. You pick a river out there, and chances are it has a flood warning on it, and that also includes the Neosho River, which doesn't really expire. The last one doesn't expire until we get down to Sunday. And that's because we're already at 8 inches over our normal amount of rain for the year. There we go. That's that average high I was talking about, 82. Record's only 93 for the beginning of June, and that dates all the way back to 1953. We see the cold front beginning to reside just a little bit in there. And so as it peels back here for the weekend, going to number one, bring us sunshine. Number two, bring us a little bit of a warm up. And we stay dry for today and tomorrow. That's a key factor because we talked about all that rain rolling through Oklahoma. Watch it, it just stays on the bottom of our screen. It really does so for the next 48 hours. So kind of lucking out there. Things change though by the time we get to Saturday, as we're going to have additional rainfall begin to kick in. Got a storm system that's once again going to come out of really central Kansas and is going to bring us rain for Saturday. The rain chances really increase as we get into the afternoon, evening, and nighttime hours. But if you live out to the west, certainly you'll get an earlier start on that, and those carry us into Sunday. Despite preparation like no other for an international football fixture, Ukraine produced a momentous performance to beat Scotland 3-1 in its World Cup playoff semifinal. Took place at Glasgow just yesterday. That is the subject of our KOM News Now Instapoll and our Something to Talk About on the KOM News Now Facebook page. So it was an emotional victory, bringing many watching Ukrainian fans sporting yellow and blue to tears. And it puts Ukraine one win away from qualifying for the Qatar World Cup later this year. Alex Thomas with the amazing story from Glasgow.
This isn't a fairy tale story, but could turn into one. Ukraine's footballers moving to within one win of what would be an almost miraculous place at Qatar 2022, considering the war taking place in their home country. This was a unique atmosphere for an international football match with so much goodwill from one set of supporters towards an opposing team. Scottish fans mixing with the couple of thousand of Ukraine supporters here in Glasgow before the game, singing and cheering together, understanding the unique set of circumstances around this game. Ukraine playing much the better football once the action got underway on the pitch, scoring either side of half-time and pretty much putting the result beyond doubt at that point. No wonder the players rushed over to their set of supporters at the final whistle. A 3-1 victory over Scotland secured, and now a World Cup playoff final against Wales in Cardiff on Sunday to come. Ukraine's coach admitting afterwards that he'd left all his emotion on the pitch, that this was a victory for the people of Ukraine to try and put a smile on their faces. They've been ordered to focus on the football, and that's what they're trying to do to the best of their ability. Still one hurdle for them to come against Wales, who, like Scotland, will battle hard to reach the World Cup in their place. The Welsh haven't been there since 1958. Ukraine trying to reach the World Cup finals for only the second time in their history as an independent nation since the breakup of the former Soviet Union. Certainly, many neutrals will continue to cheer the Ukrainians on as they continue that bid. Alex Thomas, CNN, Glasgow.
Brings us to our question of the morning on the Facebook page. Are you excited for the FIFA World Cup? And understand that if Ukraine does qualify, probably a lot of people going to have eyes on them if you don't have another dog in the hunt. You can let us know by going to komnewsnow.com/vote or connect to us via our Facebook page. Be back with Health Watch next.
Topping Health Watch this morning, in Colorado, people conceived by donors will now have the right to learn their identity. Under the new law, those born as a result of a sperm, egg, or embryo donation will have the right to learn the identity of the donor at the age of 18 or earlier with the consent of their legal parent or guardian. They'll also have the right to obtain their donor's medical history. Donors will be expected to update their contact and medical information with the agency or fertility clinic at least once every 3 years. The law also orders providers to make a good faith effort to determine how many families are established as a result of each donation, and places a limit on the number of families a single donor can establish. The new requirement takes effect in 2025. Pfizer and biotech have asked the Food and Drug Administration for emergency use authorization for their COVID-19 vaccine in children aged 6 months to 5 years. Trial results released last week show the vaccine appears safe and has a strong immune response. A month after the children in the trial got their third dose, tests showed the vaccine produced a similar immune response as 2 doses in 16 to 25-year-olds. That's according to data released by Pfizer and biotech. Trial results are also showing the vaccine had an 80.3% efficacy rate against symptomatic COVID-19 in this youngest age group. However, more testing is needed to finalize the efficacy rate. An FDA panel will discuss Pfizer's emergency use authorization request on June 15th, along with Moderna's request. French researchers are reporting trained dogs may do a better job of detecting COVID-19 in patients than rapid tests. In the study, specially trained canines sniffing sweat samples were able to detect COVID successfully in nearly all cases. By comparison, rapid tests picked up 84% of cases, according to studies published in the medical journal PLOS ONE. Rapid tests were slightly better than trained dogs in identifying negative cases, but in 2 of the false positive cases, the dogs were apparently confused by other forms of coronavirus instead of COVID-19. The researchers say the dogs show great promise for being used when tests are difficult to administer, like in nursing homes and at large events. They also point out canines are less invasive than other forms of COVID testing and also work more quickly than in a lab test. Well, it's the leading cause of death for those on the autism spectrum, according to the National Autism Association. But drowning deaths can be prevented if children are taught skills to keep them afloat in the water. Mandy Gaither has more on a new approach to help kids with autism learn to swim.
It can happen in a matter of moments. Drowning is a leading cause of accidental death for all children, but for those with autism, the risk doesn't go away with age, says Erica Kemp, a pediatric occupational therapist.
As they get older, it actually becomes more and more a higher and higher likelihood if they don't get proper swim instruction.
That's why Kemp created a specialized one-on-one adaptive swim program to teach children on the autism spectrum the basics of swimming.
When you talk to a lot of these families, they can't seem to always find a swim instructor that will work with their child or that understands their unique needs. Therefore, they're not getting instruction.
Because every child with autism has different needs, Kim says traditional group swim lessons may not work. She says her program allows the instructor to customize skills for each child.
We use visual schedules. We have a really consistent routine and structure, but then it's also it's individualized in that they move through different stations, and each station has a different skill that they're working on.
Kim says they've gotten a grant to continue and expand the adaptive swim program. The goal is to get similar courses across the country.
Every single kid has made gains in some way, shape, or form.
Kemp says the program is not only helping children with autism learn to swim, but they also learn other skills like working independently and following directions in an unusual environment. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back. Coming up, the Bicknell Family Center for the Arts brings in a new art exhibit.
We're actually going to try to throw a little warmth our way. That's going to be compliments of sunshine, sans rain. That's right, mostly sunny and dry. The latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
Also, veterans get a little therapy with the help of horses.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:34. I'm Bronte Sorotsky. We'll get to those stories in just a bit, but first I'm going to throw it over to Michael talking about some sunshine that we
eventually,
have.
yeah. In fact, Bronte, that's a great point you have right there. We're actually starting to break right now. Up in the northwestern portion of the four-state, it gets a little bit thicker as you get down to the south and whatnot, and that's because they still got that system lingering from the Red River up through central Oklahoma. But as we work up to our northwest, slowly but surely, we're seeing the cloud cover begin to break, and we still have half an hour before we even get to sunrise anyway. We have flood warnings left over from all the precipitation we picked up in the last 36 hours. Those are indicated in the lime green, the dark green. Those are river-specific flood warnings lasting pretty much all the way to the weekend. Despite the fact that we see those clouds beginning to break up to the northwest, that's also where it's a little bit cooler. But the reason is when we lose overnight cloud cover, we lose what's called radiational heating. And that warmth stuck in the earth, it'll go way faster than down to the south where it's kind of trapped in right there. So that's the reason for that. But also, too, farther north you live, you're going to get the peak of sunshine before anybody else. Eventually clearing out, and everybody will be able to see the glow cloud because we're going to keep all that rain down to the south for today. And as a matter of fact, after that thing moves to the east side of the Mississippi, we're going to be done with that for a while. So that'll be some welcome relief to get 2 dry days in, because Saturday, Bronte, we're going to be right back at it. Rain chances really pick up in the afternoon and then increase throughout the night. You're going to see the harder rain up to the north kind of taper off as you go down to the south.
All right, well, this will be nice to have these, these next 2 days.
2 days, we'll take it. We will take it.
Thanks, Michael. An online map and contact information will help Missouri families find free local summer food programs. Children under 18 will receive free meals at hundreds of locations in Missouri. The Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services Summer Food Service Program provides breakfast, lunch, and/or snacks to children living in eligible areas when children do not have access to free or reduced price meals at school. To find the online interactive map of locations and more information on summer food sources in all 4 of our states, just click on the link at koamnewsnow.com. A Southwest Missouri-based food bank has reached a milestone in grants to its partners. On Wednesday, Ozarks Food Harvest announced it's awarded $1 million in grants this week alone to more than 70 of its area food bank partners. Officials say this push for grants was spurred by research from the University of Missouri Interdisciplinary Center for Food Security, which showed how much area food banks rely on assistance from Ozarks Food Harvest. A local organization gave veterans a chance to get a little mental health therapy by working with horses. Charlie Tutu Outdoors partnered with Risen Ranch Cowboy Church and Arena in Carthage for Operation Risen Ranch. As part of the event, veterans learned how to shoe and groom horses.
That they have another way to handle the demons they're facing. When they come here to this, it's not about watching a guy on a horse. That's the activity. But it's about another way of releasing the demons and anxiety and depression and things they're facing. Whether it's watching a horse, riding a horse, being with other veterans, whatever it is, there's ways of handling things they're facing.
The organization will host more events as part of Operation Risen Ranch, including ones in July, August, September, October, and November. Pittsburgh State's Bicknell Family Center for the Arts has a new exhibit focusing on one of the most well-known concentration camps of World War II. The exhibit features 14 photos taken at Auschwitz titled Auschwitz KZ 1 and 2. They were taken by a professional photographer who also teaches at Missouri Southern. The exhibit is free and open to the public through June 30th.
What says you, Saratsky, on that site?
What was that?
I says, what says you on that site right there from 7th and Rangeline?
That is a beautiful site.
And we're starting to see the clouds break. And there's no rain coming down.
I know, it's so nice.
21 minutes officially until we get to sunrise over 7th and Joplin, and we can finally sit back, enjoy our tower cams, put them to good use, and enjoy a marvelous Thursday morning. As all the rain stays down through central Oklahoma and Arkansas for today, the beginning of back-to-back dry days before some rain decides to reemerge there on Saturday. You also know it's slowly warming up there. We'll go from 74 on Thursday all the way up to 86 on Sunday.
All right, thanks, Michael. This morning, we're discussing the FIFA World Cup. Like something almost out of a fairy tale, the Ukrainian soccer, or what's known as football around the world, has had an emotional win over Scotland. Right now, all they have to do to get into the men's FIFA World Cup is win one more game. With their country at war, getting into the World Cup would mean a lot to them. Scottish fans mixed with Ukrainian fans before the game, singing, chanting, and cheering together. This brings us to our something to talk about. Are you excited for the FIFA World Cup?
All right, right now, Bronte, we just got our first yes. That's why I stalled there for a second. Now we've got 12% of our respondents, 11% saying yes. Still overwhelmingly. People right now not too much into it. Understandably so. You have to remember the World Cup doesn't kick off until late November. We've got a whole lot of time. But just as an aside, if you're interested in, number one, keeping up with the Ukrainian team and want to see what they put on the pitch, and you're a soccer fan, you might be wise to do that, because the winner of the Wales-Ukraine match coming up, they just happen to play the United States. Just interjecting another part of the plot line in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the winner, it's Ukraine to win to get in, and no matter who gets in, whether it be Ukraine or Wales, their first leg opponent will be the United States at the end of November.
Well, maybe that'll get more people around here interested.
That's what I was trying to do, especially since we find so much of that action on our sister station, One Fox 14. Oh, I just throwing it out there.
Yeah. Thanks, Michael. Well, that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News.
Celebrations 70 years in the making. I'm Ian Lee with Queen Elizabeth's Platinum Jubilee.
Plus, an owl in need gets a little helping hand from someone it didn't expect. We'll have the latest. You're watching the KOAM Morning News, more real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Topping World Watch, Top Gun Maverick brought back the Taiwanese flag patch on Tom Cruise's iconic bomber jacket after generating outcry for removing the symbol in previews. China considers Taiwan to be part of its territory, despite decades of the island nation being effectively independent. Any mention of it as a separate nation angers China. The Taiwanese flag couldn't be seen in the 2019 trailer for the movie. Some speculated it was taken off to appease China. But when the blockbuster sequel opened last week, the flag was there on the jacket, along with the previously unseen Japanese flag. Top Gun Maverick made an estimated $156 million in the U.S. over the weekend. That's a new record for the biggest Memorial Day weekend opening. The film isn't expected to be released in China. The official Platinum Jubilee portrait of Queen Elizabeth has been released to mark the beginning of the celebrations. The celebrations honor the Queen's 70 years of service. She took the throne in 1952. This specially commissioned portrait by Ranald Mackenzie was taken at Windsor Castle last week. It is Mackenzie's third portrait of the Queen. The first one in 2016 celebrated her 90th birthday. Second in 2020 marked the beginning of the new decade. The Queen released a statement thanking everyone involved in the Platinum Jubilee. Celebrations are getting underway in Britain to mark Queen Elizabeth's 70 years on the throne. The Platinum Jubilee kicks off this morning as Ian Lee reports from London.
Not a moment to spare preparing for Queen Elizabeth's big Jubilee bash. Her armed forces rehearsing around the clock for a more than a lifetime party.
It's a massive milestone. No British monarch in history has ever reached a Platinum Jubilee, and we are unlikely to ever see it again.
The 96-year-old Queen took the throne 70 years ago. The closest runner-up is her great-great-grandmother Victoria, who served 63 years. Most Brits today have never known another monarch.
I just think it's an amazing thing that the Queen's been on the throne for 70 years. It's quite historic.
The Jubilee is a 4-day national celebration here, filled with concerts, street parties, and packed full of British pride.
I am a Queen fan. I think it just reminds me of good memories from childhood of doing all the Jubilee stuff at school.
The Queen isn't getting around as easily as she used to, so she won't attend every event. But she is setting time aside for family, like Prince Harry and Meghan, who flew in from California with their 2 children.
It's very likely that Harry and Meghan will visit the Queen on Saturday for Lilibet's first birthday. She's never met her before. I mean, that will be an extraordinary meeting. How sweet will that be?
Speaking of sweet, what's a party without a pudding, as Brits call it? The Jubilee's official dessert, a 7-layer lemon trifle, in honor of the Queen's 7 decades of service. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
One of the biggest events in the 4 days of festivities will be a platinum party at the Palace, a concert featuring big names like Diana Ross, Elton John, and Alicia Keys. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back with the news you need to know before you head out the door. Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. The Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation released autopsy results for an inmate who died while in custody at the Ottawa County Jail. Authorities say 38-year-old Michael Victor died in November of last year after around a month in the jail. The sheriff's office says Victor had a medical emergency. Jailers tried to render aid and took him to the hospital where he later died. On Wednesday, the OSBI announced autopsy results showed he died as a result of fentanyl poisoning. Parts of southeast Kansas saw some straight-line wind damage. This is video from Allen County. The winds knocked down several trees, tore the roof off of some structures, and damaged fences. Pittsburgh State's Bicknell Family Center for the Arts has a new exhibit focusing on one of the most well-known concentration camps of World War II. The exhibit features 14 photos taken at Auschwitz titled Auschwitz KZ1 and 2. They were taken by a professional photographer who also teaches at Missouri Southern. The exhibit is free and open to the public through June 30th. The mental health of area teens is the focus of a program for area professionals. The Crawford County Mental Health Center hosted a seminar for individuals that work in career fields with teens ages 13 to 18. The seminar put the group through a series of exercises to help them identify teenagers struggling with mental health issues and provide them with help. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
You would be hard-pressed to paint a prettier picture than what we have over 7th and Range Line right now, an indicator that we're finally going to be in store for a delightful morning where we don't have to worry about torrential rainfall. And now we just need a little warm-up on our hands as we still sit at 60 degrees. Wind has shifted, now moving in from the north. But what that's actually going to do is kind of help us out, because it's going to force everything to stay down to our south. And as it does, it's going to roll the Red River, get as far north as central Oklahoma, but then take off through Arkansas. Not going to have that southerly push that we've had for the past couple of days. So I tell you what, everything's looking good this morning. I don't want to jinx it, but looking good so far. Wide variety of temperatures, still about a 10-degree gap here, as we've got 53s up in Iola and Fort Scott compared to 63s down in Veneta and in Jay. Joplin right now sits at, as I mentioned before, 60 degrees. We'd anticipate it being just a little bit warmer this time of year at this time in the morning, but who's to complain when we can look at sunshine and get up into the mid-70s for hard to believe. It's the second day of June already. As far as future track, everything stays to the bottom of your screen, an indicator that it's going to have a hard time even intruding on our far southern counties, which is great news. We'll roll back-to-back days, very similar in nature for Thursday and Friday. A little bit warmer tomorrow. And then we get ready for Saturday. While we work up on the mercury, headed toward 80 by Sunday, we've got rain coming back in out of central Kansas, be honest, with chances increasing from Saturday afternoon into the nighttime hours, carrying us into Sunday morning. Be back with more KOAM morning news right after this.
While many spent Memorial Day morning preparing for a parade or cookout, the owner of a tree service removal in Iowa was saving a baby owl. Marlo Lundak has the story.
Something you don't do every day, but...
Ed Gregory owns a tree removal company in Council Bluffs. Several weeks ago, he was getting ready to remove a tree from someone's yard when he found this, a barred owl nest.
And it's a protected species, so I told him we couldn't remove the tree. We're gonna have to wait until they hatch and fly away. So we took off the hazardous limbs, and I've been checking up on the owls about weekly.
Ed monitored them as they went from eggs to owlets, giving updates on the birds for the neighborhood, who got quickly invested. But Monday's update was worrisome.
I came by this morning and saw one hanging by its foot out of the edge of the nest.
One of the owls successfully left the nest, but the other was stuck.
It was in a knot hole of a tree, and the knot had a crack down it that was maybe, a half inch wide, maybe less, maybe a quarter inch wide, something like that. And its foot was caught in there and it was hanging upside down. And I went up in the bucket truck and just grabbed its wings, folded them in, held the owl, and then I just broke the edge of the tree off and pulled him loose.
A short time later, the owl was picked up by a rescue group. The Raptor Conservation Alliance says this isn't their first barred owl of the season. They've already seen several young owls like this one come into their care in the last few weeks after being blown out of their nest by the wind. And Ed says this isn't the first time he's seen this either.
We just had raptor rescue out here 3 weeks ago for a red-tailed hawk. I relocated a dove nest last week in a tree we had to take out.
Ed knows not everyone loves when trees are removed, but sometimes it's necessary. He says he'll always do what he can to help the wildlife around him.
We'll be right back with another look at your forecast.
While we know it's going to be visible today, our flood warnings, whether it be countywide or for our river specifics, is still a pretty fluid situation here as the National Weather Service is jockeying back and forth during our Thursday morning, popping new ones up when they look at where rivers are going to crest, and then hopefully by 1 o'clock we're able to get rid of these countywide ones, but still need you to be apprised of that situation, whether it be having to cross down by a river or knowing that low-lying areas that maybe you weren't out and about last night, and I don't blame you, are still flooded. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this.
Coming up, the Joplin Area Chamber of Commerce welcomes its new president.
Waiting on a little cloud cover to clear out, and then we are in store for sunny skies and dry weather. Haven't said that in a while. The latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
Also, we'll meet some area professionals who are turning their attention to teens and mental health.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6 a.m. I'm Bronte Sorotsky. We'll have those stories plus a visit from Chef Anthony coming up. But first, let's go to Michael and see if he has some good news about the weather for us.
I'm trying.
Look at that. Look at that sunrise.
It is gorgeous with the sun reflecting off of our early morning cloud cover, bringing us gorgeous hues. That's a live look over 7th and Rangeline as we find ourselves actually just seconds past official sunrise at Joplin Regional Airport. Sitting at 59 degrees right now. Little shift in our wind while it says calm. It's coming in now north anywhere from just 5 to 10 miles per hour throughout most of the 4 states. And now we get our pre-sunrise dip in our temperature. So while we were consistently sitting in the high 50s, low 60s, we'll take a little bit of a downward dip here, which is perfectly normal right after sunrise for this time of year. Starting to see it break up to the northwest. All the rainfall can stay down to our south. I think everybody is just pretty much sick and tired of it. Now, I was going to say done with it. Let's just take it up one notch and call it sick and tired of the rain. Now, these flood warnings, we're getting some movement in here. Our countywide flood warnings indicated in the lime green, they have remained consistent with a Thursday 1 o'clock expiration time for this afternoon. But Neosho River, right there underneath Chanute, we've actually had the flood warning for the Neosho that went through Chanute. They went ahead and lifted that. So that's an indicator we're headed in the right direction. And hopefully the Verdigris, the Fall River, Osage, Little Osage, we can see those kind of drop off the board quicker than what the hydrograph anticipates. But like I said, we're at least rid of one flood warning. There we are with our temperatures, 53 to 63 degrees. Haven't had a whole lot of movement, been pretty widespread. Then as we reset over Joplin, look at our weather trend for today. Mid-70s, sunshine all day long, and at the bottom of your screen, watch all that rain instead of trying to make its way into our southern counties. Does a real good job just staying down to the south, making its way from central Oklahoma into central Arkansas. A little bit of a warm-up each and every day as we head towards Sunday, but also, too, after a dry Thursday and Friday, come back with some rain. Really kicks in for Saturday afternoon, and then those rain chances increase Saturday night into Sunday morning.
Okay, well, gotta enjoy the sunshine while we can.
We're gonna squeeze in 36 hours here of dry weather.
All right, thanks, Michael. An online map and contact information will help Missouri families find free local summer food programs. Children under 18 will receive free meals at hundreds of locations in Missouri. The Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services Summer Food Service Program provides breakfast, lunch, and/or snacks to children living in eligible areas when children do not have access to free or reduced price meals at school. To find the online interactive map of locations and more information on summer food sources in all 4 of our states, Just click on the link at koamnewsnow.com. A Southwest Missouri food bank reaches a milestone in grants to its partners. On Wednesday, Ozarks Food Harvest announced it's awarded $1 million in grants this week alone to more than 70 of its area food bank partners. Officials say this was a push for grants that was spurred by research from the University of Missouri Interdisciplinary Center for Food Security, which showed how much area food banks rely on assistance from Ozark Food Harvest. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly announces upgrades to the state's unemployment insurance system. During pandemic lockdowns, many people lost their jobs and filed unemployment for help, but were met with several glitches and delays as the state dealt with a wave of fraudulent claims. Now, the state says its system has been modernized after 26 months and $48 million in work, some of which came from federal grants. The upgrades include a brand new IT legal legacy system, customer experience enhancements, and improved data security. Parts of southeast Kansas experienced some straight-line wind damage. This is video from Allen County. The winds knocked down several trees, tore the roof off of some structures, and damaged some fences. The Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation releases the autopsy results for an inmate who died while in custody at the Ottawa County Jail. Authorities say 38-year-old Michael Victor died in November of last year after around a month in the jail. The sheriff's office says Victor had a medical emergency. Jailers tried to render aid and took him to the hospital, where he later died. On Wednesday, the OSBI announced autopsy results showed he died as a result of fentanyl poisoning. The Cherokee County, Kansas Sheriff's Office finishes a countywide registered offender compliance check. Authorities say there are more than 100 registered sex, drug, and violent offenders in the county. The check is to make sure they're following the conditions of their release. Officials say more than 95% of the offenders were in compliance. Those who were not were taken into custody or are now wanted. An area organization turns its attention to the mental health of teenagers. The Crawford County Mental Health Center hosted a seminar for people who work with teens ages 13 to 18. The seminar put the group through a series of exercises to help them identify teenagers struggling with mental health issues and provide them with help.
It makes us more aware of what their feelings and their needs are, and so I appreciate getting the extra advice, how to deal with kids when they're having emotional problems. So,
you can find more information on classes like this one at crawfordmentalhealth.org. The Joplin Area Chamber of Commerce announces its new president. Travis Stevens will be taking over the role. Stevens has more than a decade in experience in community and economic development, having served in different roles in Bella Vista and Bentonville, Arkansas areas, among others. His first day as president will be June 28th. And on this day in 1935, Babe Ruth, one of the greatest players in the history of baseball, ends his major league playing career after 22 seasons, 10 World Series, and 714 home runs. Ruth made his major league debut as a left-handed pitcher with the Red Sox in July of 1914 and pitched 89 winning games for the team before 1920, when he was traded to the New York Yankees. In New York, Ruth's primary position changed to outfielder, and he led the Yankees to several American League pennants and 4 World Series victories. His career home run record stood until 1974, when it was broken by Hank Aaron. Ruth's record of 60 home runs in a single season of 154 games wasn't bested until 1961, when Roger Maris knocked out 61 homers in an extended season of 162 games. The Sultan of Swat's career slugging percentage of .690 remains the highest in Major League history.
And the great baseball debate, did Babe Ruth retire or was he fired?
I didn't know that was a debate.
Yeah, the owner of the Boston Braves reportedly fired Ruth after he quit. It was a, I quit, you're fired.
One of those deals.
Yes, he was going to play an exhibition game with the diminished skills and whatnot. He was going to go down and play an exhibition game, and the owner of the Braves was like, no, you're not. If you're not well enough to play on my team, you're not playing this exhibition game. And then it became, I quit, you're fired.
Wow.
Yep. Bronte, up to the north, we were talking about the cooler temperatures and whatnot. How about a little, instead of a heat index, how about a little wind chill kicking in because we got a little north breeze? Only feels like it's 48 right now in Iola, getting into the central and southern portions, and that wind really doesn't make much of a difference. But you may want a light jacket if you're up for our northern counties. There we are with another look over a beautiful sunrise where eventually we'll be up in the 70s. Jackets will be a thing of the past. Short sleeves going to be perfect for today. And you can leave the umbrella at home for today and tomorrow.
Well, that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News. If it's Thursday, you know what time it is. Chef Anthony Fisher from the Pittsburgh High School stops by studio to talk barbecue. Plus, Oklahoma becomes the latest state to fall victim to a mass shooting. And a new study shows a link between sports and fewer mental health problems for kids. We've got the details. You're watching the KOAM Morning News, more real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Topping Nation Watch this morning, another community in mourning after a mass shooting. This one happening just down the road from us yesterday at a hospital campus in Tulsa, Oklahoma. 4 people were killed, multiple people wounded, the gunman also dead as officials now search for a motive. Bradley Blackburn with the details.
Police swarmed the St. Francis Health System campus in Tulsa, Oklahoma Wednesday afternoon following reports of a gunman.
The officers that did arrive were hearing shots in the building, and that's what directed them to the second floor.
Authorities say the shooter died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound, but not before he killed 4 people.
He had one long gun, a rifle, and one handgun.
Police arrived on scene just 3 minutes after the 911 call.
I also want to express our community's profound gratitude for the broad range of first responders who did not hesitate.
For those on the campus, they say it drew an instant reminder of last week's school shooting in Uvalde, Texas.
It's like, what's going on, with the world these days,
It's a doctor's office, you really can't go nowhere no more. That was something happened, and it's just crazy.
Kevin Forrestal's wife was in the building for a procedure.
And of course, as vast as that complex is, the first thought you're going to have is, oh my God, is it where she is or is it somewhere else? But luckily, in this case, she was safe.
So far this year, there have been a dozen shootings in the U.S. where 4 or more people have been killed. That's according to a database from the Associated Press, USA Today, and Northeastern University. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News.
Several offices that are part of the St. Francis complex will be closed for the rest of the week. Officials have not yet identified the gunman nor the victims. That is a look at today's top national story. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. We're here today with Chef Anthony. We're talking about a barbecue competition that you're holding. But first of all, thank you so much for joining us in studio this morning.
Always, I love being here.
So about this barbecue competition, I'd love to hear more about what this is, why you guys are holding this.
Okay, so what we're holding is the first annual Smoking in the Jungle barbecue competition, and the idea behind it is to bring families together, because in my class we teach the food is family, friends, and memories, and that's just the very basis of it. So we're holding this competition. It's going to be held out at the Dirty Mule on June 25th. It's a Saturday, and we're doing chicken, we're doing ribs, and we're doing tri-tips. So your registration covers all the meat that you need to do. If you want to smoke and grill, come see me, go to Simon Market, go out to the Dirty Mule. They all have flyers available, and there's flyers around town. You can find them. But the Culinary Club is using part of this as a fundraiser. They're planning a trip for next summer, spend 12 days eating their way through Italy.
That's so cool.
So the idea behind it is they're going to do the People's Choice Award. We're going to have family games. We're trying to work out the logistics for a good old-fashioned apple bob, and we're going to have the lollipop towers and all sorts of just fun, family-friendly environment. And then have some good barbecue while you're there.
Definitely.
So
I'm interested to hear too, what are you hoping these students get out of this trip to Italy? I mean, that sounds like an amazing opportunity.
They're going to get to experience a lot of different things. They're going to go to a bakery and try fresh focaccia bread. They're going to go to a balsamic vineyard. and see how that's done. We're going to visit Fifa World Italy, which is like Worlds of Fun, but all food-based. So, and we're going to spend 2 days in Rome. They're going to get to try the food, experience the normal sights of Rome. The last day, they're going to take a tour of the Vatican, which is going to be a great opportunity for them. Not a lot of kids get to leave the country. I was lucky. I grew up in the military. My family took a lot of summertime trips, so we drove all over Europe, and I created wonderful memories with that. And so I wanted to do something to help bring my students these same opportunities.
Yeah, definitely. And building on that too, I mean, this seems like it'd be a great experience, great, amazing opportunities. What are you hoping that they gain from this with their culinary skills?
The experience of more food, different palates, different seasonings, and see how, as you move across the country of Italy, how food changes. Because everybody's like, oh, it's Italy, it's pasta. Not really. Tuscany is a lot more pasta than, say, northeastern Italy, which is more polenta. So as they work their way across, they'll see the cultural changes of the meats, what's provided, how dishes are served, everything that goes all along in a row. So they're going to be able to experience lots of different things.
That is really cool. And I know like they do a lot of things differently there too. I went once for my sister's wedding, and I remember dinner was like many courses. Like you were there for hours. So do you think these students learning about different customs to how people do different things in different countries will add to, you know, their experience?
I think it is, because how do you know when something's right, when something's wrong? How do you know if something's been what they call Americanized? And people are so used to spaghetti, but the sauce is really thin, so it seeps down through the noodles. But traditionally, in most places in Italy, you have bolognese, which is really thick, chunky sauce that sits on top of the noodles. A lot of times the noodles are tossed already in the sauce before it's put on the plate. So they're going to see how things are done differently and be given an opportunity to try something new.
That is so cool. I'm very excited for you guys. And one last thing, you know, is there anything else you wanted to add about your fundraiser that you have?
We have a People's Choice Award going on during the barbecue. So People's Choice, if you do something at home, an apple pie, jalapeno poppers, bring it out. Enter People's Choice. The People's Choice goes directly to the culinary club, and people will try it. Get some feedback. The hardest thing to do in the culinary world is to get through your first competition. And it doesn't matter how hard it is or how difficult it is, but just do the first one. Because once you do the first one and you find the friends, the camaraderie, and the experience itself, you're going to want to do more. You'll try something new. Because we've all sat around the barbecue grill and our friends go, oh, you do the most wonderful steaks. You know, come out, try it. Show us what you got. I competed in 2020 when Simon Market held their very first one. It was social distancing, and I won that one. I'm competing again this year, so come out, see me, let's talk, let's cook, let's have some fun, and it's going to be a great family opportunity. There'll be live music at the end of the night. I believe there's an 18 and over concert going on that evening at the end of the barbecue. We're going to have music playing all day, and we're going to have lots of games for the family.
All right, well, Chef Anthony, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And we're going to hear from you later in the show too.
Yes.
So I'm excited for that. And but for now, we will be back right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, smokers who live in the South or the West are significantly less likely to receive help quitting as compared to smokers who live in the Northeast. Researchers from the University of Texas also found seniors were more likely to receive help than smokers under the age of 30. A new study in the Journal of Neurology finds blacks and Hispanics more likely to die in the first month after certain types of strokes than white people. Researchers say, in particular, Hispanic people who have a stroke caused by bleeding in the brain have a 10% higher risk of death in the first month than compared with whites. And kids who participate in a team sport seem to experience fewer mental health difficulties. That's according to a new study out of Cal State. Interestingly, researchers also found that kids who exclusively play an individual sport may face greater mental health difficulties than kids who do no sports at all. That is a look at some of today's hot health stories as you're watching the KOAM Morning News. Here's a live look over 7th and Rangeline, 59 degrees right now. The wind is causing just a little bit of cooler temperatures up to our far north. Right now, Joplin Regional clocking in as Koam, if you will. There we are outside of Television City. You can tell down, look at the ground down by the satellite arrays. We affectionately call it Lake Koam. It's going to take a while for it to dry up. We have little extended lakes on either side of our parking lot right there. So we might have to come up. That's not actually part of the main Lake Koam. That's like an offshoot, like a tributary. Skywatch storm tracker, the cloud cover, trying to get it to break up to the northwest, but for the most part gave us beautiful hues for sunrise. We're officially 26 minutes past sunrise right now. All the rain that we're seeing down to the south is going to stay down there. It's got a little lightning involved with it as far as our local storm reports go from the morning. All those were really through central and west Texas. It did pack some hail last night along with some high winds. But the key factor in all this is where it's headed. Because if we put the storm cones on there, the cheaters as we call them, just to give us general direction, you'll notice we don't see a whole lot of arrows that want to go toward us. And so what it's going to do is ride the Red River, come up through central Oklahoma, make its way over central Arkansas, then head off toward the Mississippi River. And so that's great news for us. But with that being said, we still do have flood warnings, county-wise in effect for the lime green areas. And we see about a total of 6.5 of our counties covered in that. We do have good news as far as the Neosho River goes. The flood warning by the Chinook gauge has been lifted. We are going to keep the flood warnings for the Neosho all the way down into the Commerce, Miami area. Look at that, lasting until Sunday. Sunday morning is not until it expires. Then as we transition into the Fredonia area, right in between Neodesha right there, the Verdigris is set to expire tomorrow morning. And then the Fall River at Fredonia, we have it, hopefully, we can let that one expire later this morning in just about, let's say 3 or 4 hours. Let's transition up into southwest Missouri. Far right of Shell City, that's the Osage River at Taborville. That gauge at Taborville, that lasts until Saturday. Right in the middle, we've got the Osage River at Shell City. That's not until Sunday. And then left of Shell City, off to the west, that's a flood warning for the Little Osage. That's the Horton gauge, and it is actually the longest of our extended ones. This one running all the way through the weekend till Monday at 10 a.m. My goodness, so we got quite a ways to go here before the water goes down. Iola sits at 53. Compare that to Miami, Grove, and Anderson, all at 63. 10-degree variety of temperatures right now. 59 degrees is where we stand, and we talked a little bit about that northerly breeze having an effect. That's actually dropped Iola down to feeling like 48 and Fort Scott at 51. So the farther north you live, might be wise to throw on a jacket. You get to the central and southern portions, we're not really seeing any type of effect on that. So that really won't be an issue for the rest of our day. And then here as we get through our morning, certainly we're gonna warm up quite quickly. That's where we were looking at sunrise, but with the glory of live television, all we have to do is take our tower cam, jaunt it right over 7th and Rangeline, and wait for the sunshine to illuminate the buildings there across the street and begin our warm up, because we're going to end up in the mid-70s. And we're going to be dry, not only for today, but we'll stay dry through Friday as well. As we head into the weekend, we talked about all those storms down to our south, and once again, there they go. They just keep on moving through. They're not going to bother us in the least. And we'll be just a tad bit warmer for tomorrow than what we were today. We'll go mid to high 70s for tomorrow. Severe thunderstorm risk map. We'll finally get good easterly push. Take everything, put it on the other side of the Mississippi, give the Atlantic coast a little something to pay attention to, because really it's been the Midwest that's been mired in it for the past 2 days, but really the month of May, it was pretty much us that was the dominant weather force in the contiguous 48. Rain's going to come back. That's going to be from Saturday afternoon. We pick up our chances, takes us from Saturday night into Sunday morning. Be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this.
Coming up, the Joplin Area Chamber of Commerce welcomes its new president.
Step 1, it's dry now, waiting for step 2. That's going to be a break in the clouds to bring us some sunshine. The latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
Also, we'll meet some area professionals who are turning their attention to teens and mental health.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6:32. I'm Bronte Sorotsky. We've got those stories and more, but first we're going to head over to the Skywatch Weather Center because I'm sure that Michael has some good news for us.
I do have good news, and the fact that nothing's fallen out of that cloud cover. Now the sun finally got above the horizon right there, so it's obscured right now with what we're seeing cloud-wise, but earlier absolutely gorgeous and eventually a great-looking afternoon as well. Our daily almanac, just to give you an update now that we get a couple of dry days, if we go back since January 1, that's going to put us about 8 inches above normal as we approach the 27-inch mark for this year alone. We should be only hanging around, say, 21 inches. Yep, no, 20. We should be sitting around, what would that be? If I do, I was told there would not be math. Should be about 19 inches. We're approaching 27. That's what happens when Sorotsky throws math my way. That's why I always say, ask Anthony, I'm like, please bring every measuring spoon and cup known to man. Because if I don't measure it correctly, I can't figure it out. Yes, I cannot eyeball it. I cannot do a pinch and a splash. Current conditions over 7th and Range Line, 59 degrees. Up to the north, may want a light coat or jacket. I'd say jacket, not a coat. But you'll also notice too, we got a little difference here between our temperatures where we sit mid-50s compared to the low 60s, mid-60s down to the south. But because our wind is shifted and coming in from the north right now, yeah, Iola's dropped down to, it's not a heat index in this case, it's actually a wind chill. Dropped down to 46 degrees when you step outside right there. Weather trend for today though, everybody makes it up into the 70s. All that rain that we were talking about down to the south right now from about Red River, North Texas, past the Red River into central Oklahoma, well, it's just going to stay down there. None of that northerly push that we've had past couple of days. It's going to track from central Arkansas, then toward the Mississippi after that, stay out of our way. And that's why Friday, we even get a little warmer there because we don't have to fight the early cloud cover. Friday morning will warm up faster. And then Saturday, Saturday afternoon, our rain chances kick into the west and the north to begin with. It becomes more widespread for everybody for nighttime into Sunday morning.
Oh, well, thanks, Michael. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly announces upgrades to the state's unemployment insurance system. During pandemic lockdowns, many people lost their jobs and filed unemployment for help, but were met with several glitches and delays as the state dealt with a wave of fraudulent claims. Now, the state says its system has been modernized after 26 months and $48 million in work, some of which came from federal grants. The upgrades include a brand new IT legacy system, customer experience enhancements, and improved data security. An online map and contact information will help Missouri families find free local summer food programs. Children under 18 will receive free meals at hundreds of locations in Missouri. The Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services Summer Food Service Program provides breakfast, lunch, and/or snacks to children living in eligible areas when children do not have access to free or reduced price meals at school. To find the online interactive map of locations and more information on summer food sources in all 4 of our states, just click on the link at koamnewsnow.com. A Southwest Missouri food bank reaches a milestone in grants to its partners. On Wednesday, Ozarks Food Harvest announced it's awarded $1 million in grants this week alone to more than 70 of its area food bank partners. Officials say this push for grants was spurred by research from the University of Missouri Interdisciplinary Center for Food Security, which showed how much area food banks rely on assistance from Ozarks Food Harvest. An area organization is providing people with the tools to help kids struggling with mental health. The Crawford County Mental Health Center held a class for people who work with teens so that they can better help them through mental health crisis. KOAM's Jalen Banks has more.
As of 2022, according to the CDC, 37% of high schoolers said that they have experienced poor mental health. And the Crawford County Mental Health Center is holding a seminar to better equip those that work with the age group.
The seminars for those that work directly and indirectly with adolescents so that they can better identify and help navigate their mental health issues.
It makes us more aware of what their feelings and their needs are, and so I appreciate getting the extra advice, how to deal with kids when they're having emotional problems. So.
The participants were put through exercises that would help them identify symptoms, how to actively listen, learn what teenage development stages are, and develop an action plan that would help them observe signs of harm or suicide. Bill Howell, the Director of Children's Services, says that more than anything, a relationship with the kid is what makes the difference.
I think it's incredibly important because that relationship is what builds that line of communication. The stronger the relationship, that's the person that, that they're going to talk to. I'm going to talk to someone much more readily with someone that I have a friendship or relationship with.
Bill hopes that classes like this one will help lower the stigma behind mental health and make these conversations for both parties easier.
In Pittsburgh, at the Crawford County Mental Health Center, Jalen Banks, KOAM News.
You can find more information on classes like this one at crawfordmentalhealth.org. Well, on June 2nd, 1989, the Boys Prep School drama Dead Poets Society, starring Robin Williams, is released in selected U.S. theaters. Set in 1959 at a fictional all-male preparatory school called Welton Academy, the film starred Robin Williams as John Keating, a charismatic English teacher who encourages his students to seize the day and embrace the passion for life expressed by great poets like Walt Whitman. Best known for his zany, manic style of comedy, Williams turned in a relatively understated performance that garnered some of the best reviews of his career. He was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actor, one of 4 nominations the film would receive, including Best Director and Best Picture. It won in one category for Best Original Screenplay.
Do you have a favorite Robin Williams movie?
Oh, trying to think of all he's been in. I mean, I really did enjoy this movie. It was actually a required viewing when I was in 10th grade.
I believe that.
Yeah, I remember we watched it in class, and it was a really good movie, but I'm totally blanking on other things he's been in.
Okay, so we'll do what Tanya and I do. I'll throw several at you, and we'll see which ones you prefer. Because You're right, it's a laundry list of great movies. Good Morning Vietnam.
Haven't seen that.
Jumanji.
Oh gosh, I saw that when I was really young.
Okay.
So I don't remember.
The Birdcage.
Okay, I kind of seen it. You just look disappointed.
Bronte is selecting The Birdcage because that's the one that she kind of remembers.
I mean, I think out of all of them, probably would be Dead Poets
Society?
Yeah.
Hey, you can't go wrong with it.
No.
All right, Bronte, as all the rain stays down to the south of us, it's indicated here too when we get to the severe thunderstorm risk map, how the majority of that system is going to progress east of the Mississippi and make its way all the way to the mid-Atlantic. What that means is 2 consecutive dry days for us, maybe not as warm as what we'd anticipate beginning of June, but the fact that we have sunshine and mid to high 70s, we will take it.
Well, let's look at our top news stories and weather. Coming up on this half hour on the KOAM Morning News, the Biden administration wipes out student debt for more than 500,000 people. We've got the details. Plus, get ready to hit the pitch again because it's almost World Cup time. We want to know if you're excited about the return of the beautiful game. We let you weigh in and we'll be right back. In Consumer Watch this morning, Facebook is losing its number 2. Sheryl Sandberg, who's been with the company since 2008, is stepping down as Chief Operating Officer at Meta, the parent company of the social media giant. She will stay on the board of directors. Meta's longtime Chief Growth Officer will replace her as COO. More than 500,000 people who attended Corinthian colleges will have their student debt wiped away by the Biden administration. The for-profit school, which ran a number of programs under other names, filed for bankruptcy and closed in 2015. It has been accused of illegal recruiting tactics and other predatory behavior. The action, which the Education Department says is its largest student loan forgiveness ever, eliminates $5.8 billion in loans. Elvis has left the church. The licensing company that controls the name and likeness of Elvis Presley has ordered some Las Vegas chapels to stop using the King during ceremonies. Authentic Brands Group says it wants to partner with the chapels and for them to use officially licensed material. That's it for Consumer Watch. So let's go over to Michael for our Something to Talk About.
These are things that are important to us in our lives these days. Elvis cease and desist letters. Okay. This morning on the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll, FIFA World Cup. It's almost like something out of a fairy tale what transpired yesterday. The Ukrainian soccer team had an emotional win over Scotland. They had to win if they want to qualify for the World Cup. They got one more game. They got to play Wales. With their country at war, getting into the World Cup, it would mean so much more than just participating in a football tournament. Scottish fans mixed with Ukrainian fans before the game. They were singing, chanting, cheering together. The stadium in Glasgow even passed out the lyrics to the Ukrainian national anthem so everybody in attendance could take part. This brings us to our Something to Talk About this morning. Our specific question for you: are you excited about the FIFA World Cup? Right now, 95% of you say no, not on the radar. Once again, doesn't start until late November. I get it. Now, that next game coming up where Ukraine plays Wales, it just so happens that the winner of that not only qualifies for the World Cup, but will take on the United States in the first leg. We're going to come back, celebrate birthdays and anniversaries, but first, off to New York. Let's check in with Nate.
I'm Nate Burleson. Coming up on CBS Mornings, Emmy Award-winning sportscaster Ernie Johnson. He writes a note to his younger self about his career and family, including adopting his son from Romania. That's coming up on CBS Mornings.
We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Sergeant Harold Lewis. The Fort Scott, Kansas native served during World War II from 1942 to 1946 as part of the 389th Infantry. This highly decorated veteran earned the American Service Medal, the Good Conduct Medal, and the World War II Victory Medal, just to name a few. To Sergeant Harold Lewis, we thank you, today's four-state hero.
We're going to start the birthday off with Ellie and Lucy Shebley, who are celebrating, well, let me take that back. On the left is Ellie. Ellie is celebrating her 14th birthday today. Now, Lucy is her twin sister. But you see, Lucy will celebrate her birthday tomorrow.
What?
Yes. Ellie and Lucy, twin sisters, born technically on different days of the calendar. So, can we do, Will, can you do me a favor? I want to lead with this birthday again tomorrow. Because I'm going to celebrate Ellie right now. I'm going to celebrate Ellie and Lucy together. But I want Lucy to have her own day too. I want Lucy to have her own day tomorrow. Excuse me. And that's a gorgeous picture that was taken at Pittsburgh State during the Mid-America Music Festival. So Ellie, happy birthday to you. Lucy, early happy birthday to you. And I'm going to feature you again tomorrow morning.
All right, well, next we have Jeremiah Bolt turning 17 years old. Jeremiah, you have love from your whole family, and Jeremiah is out of Chanute.
Winter Jacobs is turning 23. Never seen the name spelled like that. Winter, I think that's absolutely gorgeous. And not only happy birthday from us, but also congratulations, as Winter is a recent graduate from Pittsburgh State.
Next we have Orrin Humble turning 43, and Orrin is out of Pittsburgh. And
I like that t-shirt, Orrin.
Yeah.
I'm down with that. It's our good friend Mike Bima celebrating the big 5-0. Mike, a very happy birthday. He's in Mountain Valley.
We have Brian Natalini turning 59. Brian's out of Columbus, and he's also the owner of the Napa store in Columbus.
What is up, Brian?
I don't know if you're going to be there today, but if you guys go to the Napa store, be sure to wish him a happy birthday.
Knowing that dude, he'll be there. He'll be there. Brian, happy birthday, my man. Bob Owen is celebrating his 80th birthday in Chanute. And I want to tell you a little bit about this picture. This is taken back in 1967 in Mr. Owen's kitchen right there. And here we are with Bob celebrating his 80th birthday. I bet he can strike that same pose and look as good as he does right there. Bob, a very happy birthday to you from all of us here at KOAM.
We have an anniversary. We have Brett and Brianna Thornton. They are celebrating their 10th anniversary, and they are out of Thayer.
Maybe we can get the Thorntons to take us to Big Ed's. Have you ever been to Big Ed's?
I don't know what that is.
Scott and Brett and Brianna. Bronte has never been to Big Ed's. We need to remedy that situation. And so if you guys are having an anniversary party there, let us know.
Yeah, we'll show up.
James and Robin Zorns, they are also celebrating their 10th anniversary. Congratulations to the Zorns family in Riverton, and that is Brooklyn and Jackson. They're two wonderful kids that are a part of their anniversary picture. Congratulations, James and Robin.
All right, we have Justin and Sarah Hancock. They're celebrating their 15th anniversary, and they are out of Sheldon, Missouri.
That's where Justin puts the rest of us to shame. When you roll into your wedding and you're looking that dapper.
I know.
That's not fair, man. It's not fair. Congratulations, Justin and Sarah. Cheryl Simpson, a very happy birthday in Weir. And the Kellermans, Milo and Janice, as they celebrate their 49th anniversary. If Milo's name looks familiar, you have probably seen him recognized as one of our 4-state heroes. A very happy birthday and happy anniversary to all of you on this June the 2nd, or if you're like Lucy, you got your picture on, and you're going to be on again tomorrow. How about that? Birthdays at KOAMTV.com is where you can send them in to. Also, connect to us via our website at KOAMNewsNow.com. Here's Bronte Sorotsky with a very important birthday announcement.
You can be part of the KOAM Birthday Club by going to our website and signing up. And if you do that, you can get special deals from local businesses. So go to KOAMNewsNow.com and sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club today.
Coming up when the KOAM Morning News transitions to Fox 14, the United States women's national soccer team reaping the rewards of a long-fought battle for equal pay. The U.S. Soccer Federation and both the men's and women's teams agreeing to a first-of-its-kind collective bargaining agreement. We've got your details coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, and we'll be back right after this. From the 50s right now to the mid-70s with sunny skies for this afternoon. Remember, we still do have flood warnings countywide for southeast Kansas, but hopefully by the time we roll around to the KOAM News at noon, we've allowed a number of those to expire, and for the next 2 days, we sit back and enjoy sunny skies. Saturday afternoon, chances for rain finally begin to increase for the central and northern portion, and then spread down to the south for Saturday night into Sunday.
All right. Well, looking forward to keeping that last bit of
We got 2 days. We got 2 days. We don't have to worry.
All right. Well, thanks, Michael. And coming up today at noon, we're making lemon yogurt chicken stack in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Your morning news continues on KOAM. CBS Mornings coming up next. New York Times investigative reporter Jodi Kantor helped spark the Me Too movement with her reporting on Harvey Weinstein. Coming up on CBS Mornings, how the verdict of Amber Heard's trial could impact the Me Too movement.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. This morning, get out your sweet tooth because Chef Anthony heads back to studio with a recipe for caramels you don't want to miss.
So you go caramel.
Huh?
You go caramel.
Yeah, that's literally how it had the A in how it was written.
That's all right. I just wondered which way that you pronounced it. Plus, who do you call when animals attack? Well, we call Jeannie Moose, just because if nobody got hurt, she's at least going to deliver us a story that we can smile and laugh about.
Exactly.
Wraps it up for this Thursday edition. Enjoy some fresh air and sunshine. Be safe. We'll do this all again tomorrow morning.
And we'll see you today at noon after the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.